I am going to reveal something to you guys that needs to be revealed, and I'm doing it for two reasons. The main reason, I'll be honest, I'm going to be selfish here and tell you the truth. I need to get this off my mind. I've seen too much, I've been involved too much, and I'm at the point where the knowledge that I have of the things that I've done in my life that I was forced to do because I worked for Uncle Sam, it's got to come out. It's going to come out, and I don't care if I get killed over it. I'm at that point. At least I know that I would have done something righteous with my life. Going to war is not righteous. It's not. It's horrible. Anyways, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. Oh, the other reason, the main reason, I should say. You guys need to know the truth. You need to know what's been hidden from you. I'm tired of seeing people bicker online over flat earth or this and that. And, it doesn't matter what we live on. It doesn't matter if you're never going to be able to go up there. You're never going to be able to go up to what we call the firmament or whatever. You're never going to be able to do it because it's not possible. So why not just worry about the things that are important? So, guys, let me tell you about myself. My name is Dean. I'm not going to tell you my last name, but I think it's on my account. But, anyways, I was I got recruited into the Naval Delayed Entry Program when I was 16 years old. I took 2 semesters of nuclear physics when I was 17 years old, scoring extremely high on IQ tests and ASVAB and every test I took. The Navy, they loved me because I would follow their orders and I did it with a smile on my face. But I wasn't happy. I hated it. I hated going under a submarine and being claustrophobic. It was horrible. But I broke my ankle when I was in the Navy about a year in, and they started putting me on little projects here and there because I couldn't do much. So one of my hobbies is hacking into computers and researching stuff, writing um, papers, like science. What do you call them? Essays, whatever. I can't think of the word right now. But research papers, like they would give me a topic and I would research it and I would interview CIA agents, people that had firsthand experience. And because of me being a good writer and a good researcher and good interview person and just people skills, I worked my way up the ladder when it came to security clearances. And I got involved in something I wish to God I would have never seen. So we'll start there. Started out with myself being like feeling like I knew that there was something up. I mean, I could tell the way my commanding officer was like, telling me that I was lucky to be involved in what I was being involved in. And at that time, I had no idea what they were talking about. Because you see, they would give me research topics, subjects that were not like you would get only one part of the whole story. They wouldn't say, hey, we're going to have you research voice to school technology and figure it out. No, they would give me like, you need to research how microwave, energy affects humans and their emotions and this and that. And over my about a year and a half, I put together the most intensive project. And I started meeting people higher up than like I ever even imagined. And there is Men in Black, believe it, but they're not involved in aliens. They're involved in gang stalking. So I got into a couple Black Op projects. Basically, what I was doing was Black Ops. I didn't know it. I mean, I thought it was for the betterment of the United States and humanity, but we were told, oh yeah, this stuff is going to be used to protect humanity, and I was told, reassured that I was doing the right thing. Had I known what I had participated in and helped achieve, I would have never, ever got involved. So, voice to skull technology. I was a member of the Naval Department of Psychological Warfare. After I broke my ankle, they didn't even make, I was happy in one way. I didn't have to go back and be on a freaking submarine, but I got shipped over to Iraq, and this is going to blow you guys' mind. So we were told to go, and they gave us coordinates out in the desert. We were told to go set up camp and to put a camo net over our camp and to await further orders. So we did. We showed up where they told us to go, and there's a big dip. It almost looked like a big landmine had blown, or an asteroid had hit it or something. But we made ourselves a little home in that hole, and it's hotter than fucking hell out there. Camel spiders, those things they're not as big as people think, but they hiss. Yeah, and they're attracted to cigarette smoke too. It's pretty freaky. But anyways, about 3 days in, we were all getting pretty freaking like antsy, wondering what the hell's going on, and we got, you know, we got further orders at that time that no matter that, about 100 Taliban on horses was coming our way, and we were to hold fire no matter what. Do not shoot. And so we start seeing the dust clouds after about 10 minutes, and we're all sitting there, just I wasn't holding a rifle. I was filming the thing, and after they got about maybe 300 yards away from us, they slowed down and they all got off their horses. And I thought, oh my God, what's going on here? Are they going to start, like ambushes? What's going on, Well, they laid down their guns and started praying towards the east. During our debriefing, we were told that we had developed a microwave energy weapon that had the ability to match a certain frequency brainwave and make people hear, "This is Allah, put down your weapons." Yeah, I kid you not. When that happened, I had never been so scared. My first thought was, dear God, how did they advance? Who did they test? Who was their guinea pigs to be able to make this work so well? And I knew the answer. Fellow Americans. Well, guys, that's part one of just kind of who I am a little bit and one of my stories. I'm looking forward to letting y'all in on the rest of it. You guys have a good night, and God bless you.
Hey, it's Mike. O.R.D Religion Dystopia, Knowing versus Belief. It's O.R.D Religion Dystopia 2. So I got that first part of this video, that audio message in my email box. I don't know who it is. I have heard this before about these weapons that they have that could mind control, and how they could, this godlike weapon thing, they make people just I guess, what those Taliban allegedly did. So, and then somebody else that I've been interacting with for the past week or so sent me this, and I figured, well, maybe it's the same person, or maybe it's just coincidence. I have no idea. But I've heard about the scalar weapons and targeted individuals. Scalar weapons, targeted individuals, and there's a little diagram here at Richard Lighthouse. Scalar weapons, targeted individuals, published by Richard Lighthouse at smartwords.com. Creative Common License 4.0. Richard, please acknowledge source. Well, we're acknowledging it. Smashwords.com. Book. Limited liability disclaimer warranty. This short ebook expresses opinions of the author. All comments and statements in this ebook are the opinions of the author. If you disagree with these opinions, then write your own book. So it says, while the author has used his best effort to preparing this document, he makes no representations or warranties with respect to the accuracy and completeness of the content. Specifically disclaims any implied warranties or fitness for any particular purpose. No warranty may be created or extended by sales representatives or sales material. The author does not advocate violence in any form. All readers are encouraged to do their own research. Okay. OurLighthouse.com. Many of my books can be found for free. And they go through this whole thing there. Original A1 in 2019. August full moon. Okay. Those who would give up essential liberties to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. Scalar weapons target individuals. Table of contents. Chapter 1's introduction. Chapter 2's conclusion. There are 3 references. Abstract. The CIA and FBI are involved in a microwave torture program against thousands of U.S. citizens called targeted individuals. There is a growing body of evidence that strongly suggests that the TI community is not dealing with ordinary microwaves. This short ebook focuses on the scalar technologies that are being used to remotely attack people all over the world. Some of the main reasons we can conclude that scalar wave weapons are being used. 1. Many technical engineers that are targeted individuals have tried to build a working Faraday cage to block the microwaves. The Varkicator weapon shots are still penetrating the cage. 2. Targeted individuals have documented the cell tower shots going through many residential buildings to reach a target, sometimes up to 2 or 3 miles distance. This is not possible with ordinary microwaves. At this frequency, these are not ordinary microwaves. 3. Underground tunnels are being used as a weapon platform. To penetrate hundreds of feet of the earth is impossible with ordinary microwaves. 4. The beam stays focused and does not disperse or spread out over a long distance typically, and it is about half an inch to 1.25 centimeters diameter. That is not an ordinary microwave, even though the frequencies have been measured repeatedly in the 3 to 4 gigahertz range. Targeted individuals have tried going underwater or inside deep tunnels and have reported they do not escape the tracking and attacks. These are not ordinary microwaves. According to the manual, NATO's Handbook on Medical Aspects of NBC defense operations, during a nuclear weapons explosion, 2 feet of concrete or 4 feet of water will protect you from the X-rays and gamma rays. These are the most powerful energy waves known. A targeted individual of mine with V2K. So I'm thinking that the email this is V2K. Somebody must have sent something to somebody. Maybe it's the same person. If you are the same person, you go by Shelly, thank you. I give you credit, so I'm sorry. And I might as well read it. If you're this and passionate about it, maybe there's a reason for all this. I do know about this stuff. Anyways. Whereas okay, so a targeted friend of mine with V2K went into deep swimming pool at more than 8 feet underwater, and the V2K and microwave weapon attacks continued. Another targeted friend has been in a deep underground cave where the V2K and attacks continued, in spite of the fact that X-rays and gamma rays are completely blocked. These cannot be ordinary microwaves. 7. While walking in my own backyard or almost anywhere close to downtown Houston, that's not a good place to be in this country when it comes to that. This author is being hit on the bottom of my feet, microwave pulses. What if this was going through me? I'm gonna have the same old things going through my feet. Maybe they're calling this MS. And it's about the same time I was supposedly, or the continue with the jibber jabber, piggy wiggy, swine, flew over the cuckoo's nest shot back in 2009. And my feet have been burning ever since. What is this? What's been happening to me? It's a contributing factor, at least. This all happened to me when I started having things negatively happen to me when I was really expressing my independence by it. I'm talking about me right now, Michael Adams. When I was doing my own art, doing my own music, just being my own man, going my own way, and things soon got worse for me. And I just wonder I always wonder if there's I always have this suspicion that there's some kind of, heard about brown shirts in the Nazi Germany. What about, we have brown shirts 0.5,000 here. We just don't know it, There's a lot of people you can't trust. It's a shame, too, because they get caught real fast, though. It makes me sick to my stomach. These are typical half-inch diameter linear microwave beams. This evidence is consistent with the U.S. Air Force tunneling program in Colorado, which has apparently been extended to other cities. This evidence is also indicative of scalar weapons because no high energy frequency could penetrate the distance of solid ground. Diagrams and pictures are provided. Yes, there is. And whether it's true or not, I don't know. My gut feeling is knowing how psychopathic the people at the top of the pyramid of this twisted place, that it would be that hard for them You know, to do that, you wouldn't even have a problem. There's a lot of people that have no problem doing whatever to you. We can deduce that the Mercator satellite weapons emit scalar waves that create frequencies 3,920 to 3,035 megahertz, or 3,925 megahertz. And these electromagnetic waves penetrate very far into the earth and in water. They can also penetrate Faraday cages. We can deduce that the cell tower antennas are using digital beam forming to create scalar waves. These are military weapons that are being used against targeted individuals. These attacks are a felony crime in the United States and an attack and an act of treason by the Air Force officers involved. Introduction. There is a growing body of evidence that strongly suggests that TI community is not dealing with ordinary microwaves. The Mercator weapon attacks from satellites and cell towers are able to penetrate many structures, including steel-framed buildings and residential houses. Many cases of cell tower attacks have been documented traveling through dozens of residential structures to hit the target. This evidence suggests that scalar wave form is being used. To understand how scalar wave is able to penetrate 30 feet of concrete or steel, we must first remind ourselves about the structure of an atom. In a volumetric basis, the common atom is 99.9999 empty space. One-dimensional longitudinal waveform or scalar wave is unlikely to hit anything as it passes through a structure. Even when a TI is hit with these attacks, the waveform continues through our body. Please keep in mind that TargetedJustice.com has already affirmed that everyone in the United States is being attacked by these microwave pulses. I believe that. My health has gone to shit because of all this stuff that's around me. I eat pretty good compared to everyone else. An ordinary Faraday cage is not able to contain or capture the wavelengths. However, Faraday cage is modified to use a randomly altering AC current energy of 5 to 50 joules might be able to ground out the weapon attacks. And it says might. That doesn't mean affirmative. Caution is urged for those that are unfamiliar with high voltage electrical currents. Yeah, a lot of us are in this position. Don't even have we're in a position that they do anything like this. Scalar waves, sometimes referred to as Tesla waves, are capable of penetrating any solid object, including Faraday cages. A transmitter can be placed in a box of thick metal, and a receiver outside of the box will still receive scalar waves. Some scalar waves are capable of passing through the earth from one side to another with no loss of field energy, as Tesla supposedly showed in one of his experiments. Then it has this diagram. So we can see better. Ordinary microwave. See better to read the description of figure 1. Ordinary microwaves, like the ones in your microwave oven, exit from the wave guide to that direct. This is tough to read. Okay, ordinary microwaves like the ones in your microwave oven exit from a wave guide that direct where they go. But the microwaves immediately start to spread out once they are in free space. Their vibration is like a sine wave. They cannot travel long distances and remain in a compact beam. However, scalar wave weapons experienced by targeted individuals are called beam weapons. And then there's a diagram with electrical field and magnetic field. The pink represents the electrical field. The purple represents the magnetic field. Then we have this example of a scalar wave, wake field, this in the blue or bluish green. Then the red represents the scalar wave. Gives an example of a boat. There's a picture of a boat along with it to kind of give you an idea how it works. The figure 2, scalar waves are not particles. They are electric magnetic energy that travels in longitudinal waves. This means that the vibration is in the direction of motion. It creates a wake field similar to a ship. The wake field is made of ionized particles that have positive and negative charges. Note that some of the wake field can probably be blocked by a Faraday cage or water pillows, but the scalar waves will pass through. Hiding is your identity and all that kind of stuff. Ain't gonna help anything. The most important thing is all we do is collectively just stand up to all these son of a bitches and not be afraid. Regardless, if you're right with God, you don't even care about death. I don't care about death. In fact, I can't wait to get back home because I hate this place. Electron cloud. It is the longitudinal wave is the so this must be the atom. Then this is atom and electron cloud, which is outside the green line. The green line represents the atom. The two dots and the black dot represent the nucleus. The longitudinal wave is the arrow going into it. Well, it's a little break from the outer body experience stuff. I want to get back into it just so I would say I finished. I got plenty of other things I need to read and I want to read online. I do this so that it forces me to do it. Honestly. Atom. Figure 3. How does a scalar wave penetrate through through buildings and houses? Scalar wave is incredibly small in its cross section. So theoretically, it is a one-dimensional line, and the line has no measurable thickness. This means it can travel through many atoms and never hit anything. This is how we explain a scalar longitudinal wave. At the atomic level, remember that an atom is made up of empty spaces. In fact, most of the atoms that we have on Earth are 99.999% empty space. A scalar wave will pass through most of these atoms and never hit anything. Keep in mind that GPS satellite tracking affects 100% of the population. Cell tower subliminal messaging affects 100% of the population. These are microwave scalar weapons set to the lowest intensity that can penetrate the buildings and houses. Microwave attacks on targeted individuals come in the form of 5 main sources. for targeted individuals. If you are experiencing painful microwave attacks, they come from. I wonder this because always when I get too close to the computer too, my shoulder and everything starts burning. God. Sailor weapon attacks about 80% of the time. Satellite weapon attacks about 10% of the time. Smart meter about 5% of the time. Drones about 4% of the time. Well, that's nice. Probable portable devices about 1% of the time. The reason that cell towers are used so often is because this is the least expensive method. That sounds about right. You remember, these people are our ancestors. You're a bit into Europe. You go to these places, which I have spent some time. They're proud of their dungeons. They always keep those old dungeons, and they go the Dark Ages, what they said. And show off their weapons and their torture devices and all that. And this just meant this sick. We just come from a sick culture. We don't even realize it. It's all normal. It's just the past. It was history. That's how it was. They were crazy back then. Back then, right? They were not crazy today. To attack large people, in general, we can say that if the signal is coming from directly overhead, it is probably a satellite. Such targeting is very expensive to operate the satellites. Tracking is generally done by satellites, and the precise coordinates are relayed to Shriver Air Force Base. Lockheed Martin makes the GPS block 3 satellites in Littleton, Colorado. Of course, then we don't forget about Elon Musk and his crap. Oh, it's all good for us, right? Sure it is. I dare guarantee you what's going over there between NATO and that place that's sandwiched in between NATO and Russia is they're just experimenting on these people. That's the reason none of it makes sense. They could care less. Buffer state, that makes sense. They'll always have this buffer state, right? They create them all the time. What do you think North Korea is? What do you think North Vietnam is? What do you think about all these countries are? They're just buffer states. That's what empires agree upon as far as their territory is, create buffer states. Buffer states are great places to experiment on and do stuff too. So, especially if you're a bunch of psychopaths. If a signal is coming at a person horizontally, it is likely coming from a cell tower, not your neighbor's house. And we got them over where I'm at. They've been saying, we're still 5G has not fully been implemented. I guarantee it's been implemented in my place for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised it's been at least a decade. Damn close to it, at least. That is part of the setup. Do not fall for your neighbors being involved. Most of the time it is a cell tower, and you can look these up on a map. And the focus beam signal from the cell tower at 100,000 watts can easily go through many houses. Before it gets to you, digital beam forming can also be used to target many people. Each second from the signal antenna. This is the reason that the deep state wants 5G technology, which it already has. Some little messaging can also be directed at many people from one antenna. I think it's in the diagram. You might say, well, are you worried about this? No. It's probably the reason to take me down all the time. Take me down, right? I'm willing to don't have a problem taking this little guy like me down because, I'm going to open my mouth. I don't care. It's insane to be having allegiance to somebody that's against you. There's no allegiance. That's called Stockholm Syndrome. That's called torture. That's called abuse. And someone like me, I'm tired of it. House. And here's another thing I was thinking about, and any of you that are listening to this or are into the field research for cryptids and Bigfoot, maybe you ought to start filming your towers that are around you being wrecked. erected, especially at night, and see what kind of activity is going on there. Because could be a connection to all this as well. Somehow drawing of the life force or the multiple gazillions of entities that are swimming all around us. It's not my opinion. It's been well documented at this point if you find where to find it. House, street. So the blue is the houses, the street is the black. The gray are probably the driveways or something like that, or at an angle. Is this no? I don't know if that's the driveway. It's not assumed that yet. The red is the cell towers, your house, the neighbors, and then the angle. There are 3 lines. There's a 3-line intersect. Is the weapon location. Figure triangulation to determine the source. You can feel the direction with your hand. It is not your neighbor's house. That is the setup. Scalar waves produced by digital beam forming at cell towers can travel through many houses and buildings. I notice when I go out in the woods somewhere far away from society that the burning sensation goes away, unless it's someplace that's well known, like a KOA or something like that. On top of that, I'm thinking once we have all these satellites in place, it won't matter what part of the neck of the woods they're going to be able to do it to you anyway. So they so desire. Figure 4, triangulation to determine the source. You can feel the direction with your hands. It is not the neighbor's house that is the setup. The scale waves produced by the digital beams forming at the cell tower. Well, this is weird because there must be a cell tower there. I think you use your hands and sand, feel it too. Like raise your hands up, in the air and see where does it start you feeling numb or burning, tingling. I notice a lot of that on my left side of my body, where all the burning goes. Wondering what that is. Triangulation to determine the source. You can feel the direction with your hands. It is not your neighbor's house. That is the setup. The scalar weapons produced by digital beam forming at the cell tower can travel through many houses and buildings. If you have a horizontal signal, try to triangulate to determine the source. This means going to opposite ends of your property, getting the direction line of the signal. If you have done this accurately, the lines will intersect at the source. Draw an accurate map using the Google Maps. This is not hard for me to believe after dealing with my, the place I lived prior to this. The next door neighbor was aircraft. Air control operator, air tower control operator, whatever those guys that operate at the airport. And this is when I started realizing about those lines of this guy, and I asked him about it, and he says no denial, and I'm like, Jesus, they are all bought out over there. The claim is they all signed some kind of contract or affidavit or something that says, if you reveal what's going on, they can take away your job, your comfortable job. So, and then people rationalize why they're doing it and think they're at war. If they don't do it, somebody else will do it, and on it goes, right? Slowly, I'm figuring out what it means to not to be in love with this world. And one thing is, you just have to say no to a whole hell of a lot of stuff. It's disappointing, and I think most of the time people that are doing stuff to you don't even realize, especially the more simple they are, and conniving they are too. I get most of those. Scalar waves are not a well understood physical phenomenon. A recent research of ARXIV.org shows 393 university technical papers involving scalar waves. I imagine that's just dropped a butt since then. These technical papers date back to 1992 as the earliest in their records. Many university professors are confident that scalar waves exist and are trying to provide a theoretical basis for analysis. Cornell University ARXIV showing 1 through 50 of 393 results for all scalar waves. Figure 5, ARXIV.org, probably pronounced some way, but I'm not going to even try. Arcs, I don't know. Arxives.org search for scalar waves. Here is a patent for the vector microwave weapon. Vector. I keep saying vector. Why am I saying vector? Vercator. It's not vercate. It's vector. Vercator weapon. Microwave. Sorry about that. It's part of my dyslexia. Now we have compelling, or probably maybe more than that, right? After reading this, we now have compelling evidence that the weapon produces scalar waves that certain frequencies, the frequency range where scalar waves are produced, are probably dependent on the inside dimensions of the Vercator and the gaps that are used for the cathode/anode. U.S. patent Sullivan 4,345,222 August 17, 1982. High power microwave generator using relativistic electron beam and waveguide drift tube. Inventor Donald J. Sullivan, Albuquerque, New Mexico. You guys out west have nothing else better to do you? Signees, the United States of America, as represented by this Secretary of the Air Force, Washington, D.C. Then it goes through all that stuff that you can in the abstract and the other details. Then there's a diagram of the Vercator. It's, electron beam generator control circuit. I guess this is where it goes out. You ever say something that looks like that? Might want to think about what you're looking at. In Figure 6, patent 4,345,222. Vercator. The math for true scalar waves is quite simple, because there is no transverse component for the wave. It travels at the speed of light, and its group velocity and phase velocity are always the same. I don't know what kind of images to use for this. Scalar wave equation. Then we don't even have to go through all that unless you're interested in the math, higher math. That's the reason why I ended up going to environmental science and management, because once I got to physics, everything went to hell for me. The wave is defined by pulsation, W, wavelength. That symbol for it, so it looks like an A-ish kind of thing, or upside down V, or actually upside down Y would sort of look like. Wave number K and frequency F and a period T have the following relations. Simple math of for scalar waves. Figure 7. It's simple math, is it? There are a number of patents that relate to scalar waves, including one by Dr. Harold Putoff. What a name that is. Dr. Putoff. Harold Putoff. Man, you're a real put-off. And I lost my place. Shays. Okay, there are a number of patents that relate to scalar waves, including Dr. Harold Putoff's U.S. 5845220 communication methods and apparatus with singles comprising scalar and vector potentials without electromagnetic field. Okay. Then you see this diagram and all that, then that means something to some of you guys. Information of the changes of functions of times and communicated from the transmitting site to receiving site by transmitting the signal comprising scalar and vector potential without including the electromagnetic field, the potential, that information. I'm not sure if I read that right. Figure 8, U.S. patent. Okay. 5 million. All right. 3 cell tower maps. AntennaSearch.com. Cellreception.com towers. OpenSignal.com. Then it gives here the typical cell tower location map, AntennaSearch.com. God, I can only imagine what my town looks like. It's to go out your front door and start seeing shit all over the place. Typical cell tower location map, AntennaSearch.com. Flat panel antenna enclosure box. Yeah, I've seen those tests before. The flat panel antenna is used for cell phone signals. These antennas can also be used for digital beam forming. You know, the funny thing is they're using these, like where I'm at, they got this stupid giant tree that looks like a Christmas tree. And I was like, do you think people don't notice that? You're supposed to be hiding it? I don't think so. I think it might have been the experiment to see if it would be, but I'm sure by now they know better. It's one of these boring tunneling equipment. The U.S. tunneling machine in 1982, Nevada. Some of these newer tunneling machines can dig underground through 7 miles a day. Dr. Bill Deagle, MD, has been quoted as stating that the underground bases are at least 1/4 of a mile underground. The author's experience concludes that tunnel programming has been extended to other cities in the United States. I'm sure it has. Google Maps is a good resource for identifying some of these towers. You can also use history timeline to see the same location from a few years ago and note which equipment has been added recently. Electricity usage. These microwave components use a lot of electricity. They are usually, and this is the reason why our electricity is going up. It's not because of us, it's because of the cost. You find out how little you actually use compared to what they're using. It's like ridiculous. And of course, we got to pay for it. So, with our sweat and blood and our last breath of life, right? It's all for the cause, right? They are usually operated in pulse mode and use about 100 amps and about 20,000 volts per pulse. Those electrical spikes would look like this on a chart. Figure 12, these weapons use a lot of electricity. When operated in pulse mode, it causes large spikes in the electrical usage. Anyone looking at these electrical use of cell towers would notice this. A clear sign that the weapon is being used on the cell tower. I got a feeling you'll be able to film a lot of other things with your camera as well at night. But we don't do that. I don't know anybody who's just at night filming this stuff. I mean, up. And of course, if you can certainly, with meters and all that, you can see how much radiation's being made off these things. You definitely don't want to live by these things. Damn, this is how my sister just moved into a house that's right across the big one, and she just didn't even think. No one listens to me. It's basically almost the same distance on the other side of the big giant tower. I just wish I had. I'm afraid to see what's on the other side when I do die. Sometimes I think is it going to be more of a whack job crazy show. Anyone that looks at smart meters or electronic power usage for a tower will see something obvious. Cell phone antennas do not usually have power spikes like this. Moreover, the electrical bill is ridiculously large for a tower, tens of thousands per month or more. And of course, it's passed on to us, and that's why our electrical bills are going up. It's not because of anything more than that. We're paying for what they're doing to us right now. They're using the excuse of, for the propaganda apparatus. Say, oh no, there's a shortage of electricity. Oh look, they stopped doing this, that, and the other. No, they're doing this to us. And you go, why would they be doing this to us? We got all these enemies. We got China and Russia and Russia. It's because we are the enemy. It's not them. They see us as the enemy. They've been telling us. That's what the Patriot Act before that. You are the enemy to them. Because if we were ever to collectively get together, use our noggins, and fight back, it's in mass instead of a few there. They're done. They know that. So in order to maintain their power, they have to constantly lie, deceive, and cripple, maim, steal, kill, and destroy. That's why you should never look at anyone who is a politician or billionaire or gazillionaire or a pope or someone walking around with their Freemasonic suit and tie or their inverted obelisk yoked around the neck, called a tie. I would just say, good God. That's the beginning of it. Just say, good God. With the use of digital beam forming, the number changed dramatically. Using 5G technology, the deep state can target and attack thousands of people using a single antenna. Some of the 5G technology companies are Ericsson, Qualcomm, Nokia, NEC, Fuji, TS, Zhao, is it so? I don't know how to pronounce it. To name a few. Of course, this is already outdated, as it always is. Yes. Conclusion. This short ebook presents some of the technology that is being used against targeted individuals from cell towers. The Mercator satellite weapons produce scalar waves in a narrow frequency range. It is possible that any Mercator design will produce scalar waves and frequency ranges that is dependent on the inside dimensions of the chamber. The information provided here is a starting point for other researchers to continue the effort. I do not pretend that it is comprehensive, as this technology has been developed over decades. Most of the subliminal messaging and V2K come from cell towers, in my opinion. And sure, why not? And I agree with that. We can conclude that some of the wake fields can probably be blocked by a fair. This is probably can be by a fair, but it's not all of it. Faraday cave or water pillows, because the ions carried in the wake field are vibrating like ordinary microwaves. This can explain why water pillows and Faraday cages are mostly helpful, but do not fully block the microwave weapon attacks. And of course, in the process, I'm sure they've been working very hard on working around that. This document is a living document. The authors reserves the right to make corrections and changes. References: targetadjusted.com, rlighthouse.com, Richard Lighthouse, quote, Satellites and Weapons of the Air Force Space Command, end quote, 2018, smashwords.com, rightlighthouse.com, NATO's Handbook on the Mechanical Aspects of NBC Defense Operations. What does that mean again? Ahmed P. Dash 6B amended. Anyways, Part 1 Nuclear, 1987. Rockwell 3 Theodore Reactor Shielding Design Manual, United States, 1956. Well, it goes on with all that. References that show the precision in pointing and tracking with GPS down to 1 centimeter. Then it goes through this. Bisnath S. and Y. Gale, Innovation and Precision Pointing Positioning, GPS World. April 2009. I know it's probably boring for most people, but somebody might need to hear this. I don't know. Booth J. R. Snow, Help from Above, Flight Testing to Alternatives to Ground. Base DGPS, Inside NGNSS, on pages 26 through 35, September 2010. And then it goes K, I think that's what C and Y, Gale, precision pointing, positioning using combined GPS and GLON, ASS, GLONASS, what a name, ASS, ASS operations. Technical references to scalar waves, flux, normalized versus field, normalized decomposition to scalar wave equations. And I just want to bring up all the rest of stuff. You can see that as far as the author and publisher, and a new perspective on the Mako-Pini and scalar wave equations, the global existence for systems of Quisenliner. I'm saying that right. Shit, wave equations. Anyways, wave. I'm not going to read all this stuff. I'm going to kill myself too doing it. Anyway, there it is. Appendix. I am proud whistleblower. See my ebooks about the criminal acts. The CIA and FBI readers are advised that the NSA and the CIA may be blocking and restricting access to some of my ebooks. Well, they're definitely shadow banning me. I don't care. My life is not this. My life is something better than this. I'm just a passerby. Just to me, it's just like, say you had an adventure, you had to go somewhere. Say you were someone from East Coast and you had to go all the way to West Coast, and you had to walk the distance way back then, right? A settler, as they like to call it, right? And everything around you is just scenery, and it's just part of the game, right? And this is just a part of the game. This is where I'm stuck at now to do what I got to do. Uh, like every other life, it would be about a purpose that they have for you, not your purpose. They have a purpose, you know. Man, I'm so sick of it. There's guys like me. Yeah, no, I don't want to complain. Readers are advised that the end of it is blocking. Readers are further advised that digital tracking tags may have been placed in my ebooks. It may be best to download the Apple Books. If possible, note how slowly the GPG loads in the ebooks when viewing, or there may be transparent objects placed inside the document. This is the government criminals' latest ploy. The contents of some ebooks may have been altered and still trying to monitor this. If you have tried to contact me, it is possible to email me, phone me, blah, blah, blah. Reader, okay. Then it goes through this whole thing in drjudywood.com and her stuff. Money Mafia. Also, find my brief educational videos on YouTube. Some have. Did you end up being taken down? I stopped following her because she just, I just got so. People just don't know how to step back and just be as honest as possible. It's really difficult for us. Is there a plane flying overhead or this time of day, or is that a car? It's 8:30. Also, find my brief educational. For more than 7 years, this author has been stalked, harassed, and threatened by the U.S. government agents from the CIA, FBI, and NSA. I've had those guys, me personally, the guy talking right now, you might know, I've had these guys that look like, dressed up like the Blackwater operatives that you saw in, the Boston bombing and all that stuff, the tech, the beige or brown pants and the black, coat or sweatshirt or sweat coat or whatever the hell they call them things. Literally come in and take my garbage and right in front of my face, right in front of my yard. My garbage. Now there's nobody else's. It could be my neighbor upstairs because he's in the Air Force. But no, the person who's been speaking loud and talking about all this kind of stuff for a decade has been me on the internet, and I'm sure that's exactly who it was. So look, they find some garbage on me, and it's like, honestly, they don't even need that. I don't even know why they even waste their time doing it. It's just some kind of justifications to be a son of a SOB. They'll do it no matter what. They're just finding some excuse. Actually, a lot of it has to do. The guys have to have a job. While in the meantime, the next victim they find, then they have to have people who are just paper pushers, right? And so read Brave New World, you'll see exactly, or 1984 is a better example of what it's always been. Okay, well, thank you to the person. You know who you are. Wink, wink. So. Very smart gal, someone that I have a lot of respect for. I joked with her, though. I said, I wish I was, I met her 30 years ago. I'm ready to think, the thought, the way, because as crazy as she may sound, two crazies together might just makes a lot of fun, so. I'm just joking. She's not. The problem is the more you observe and the more you speak, and it's hard to put all the pieces together in a more logical, some people are really great at presenting it, Some people really are gifted being presenters and teachers. But there's an intense lot of information, and to really put the picture together, or the big picture of your world or what you're involved in, what's been happening to you, it takes a long time. It does. It just doesn't happen overnight. You just don't read some book and magically you have it all figured out, right? I was hoping the Bible would do that, to be honest with you. I was going contrary to my training and background, right? education, maybe that book would be it. And there was some great information. That's definitely brought me closer to God, but it's not answering even a fraction of what's going on around us. And I'm just being honest about that. Now, a lot of Christians say, oh, no, you can't say that. And I say, yeah, well, you stay in your little bubble of delusion. That's okay. You do what you got to do. Survive to get through another day. You got to do what you got to do. As for me, I push and push and push because I don't see anything better to do in life except to push and figure out what the hell happened to me and the rest of us. And I do not like sneaks, and I don't like snakes in the grass, and I don't like liars and two-faced manipulators.
If you're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. If you're going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind.